So Dean, we're back.
It's been a while.
Well, the last time was the 22B v the GT8, and we were talking about how can a 22B be the same value as a GT8?
Well, you was trying to justify how it can be the same value, and in the intervening time, the 22B has just done that.
Well, yeah, so 22Bs are now over sort of 300 for really, really low mileage examples, and the GT8's gone down a little bit.
It's mad.
I think a GT8 sold for 130 recently.
But you said it at the time, you know, they're peaks and troughs, you know, it's a bit of a roller coaster, you know, you obviously in an ideal world you buy low and you sell high, and you seem to do that more often than not. And obviously we've come here today to compare these two absolute animals, which not only are fantastic road cars, but have got some great rally history. Tell us a little bit about them, because this dominated 92 to 94, and then this took over 96 to 99 with the Subaru.
So my dad had the 92 model, or 91, 92, which won 3 world championships, 92 to 94. Then it changed to this shape in 95.
Right.
And then you had all the palaver with Toyota. Obviously they adapted the turbo to get 50 more horsepower.
It's an enormous amount more.
Miles in the lead in the world championship.
Yeah.
All disqualified, year ban. Colin McRae, Carlos Sainz come through. Colin McRae becomes world champion 95.
Right.
Then you have the Tommy Mäkinen era, 96, 97, 98, 99.
Great year, 99.
And then this is the ultimate really of the Mitsubishi in my eyes. A Tommy Mäkinen edition RS. And
if I'm right in saying, of course these two went head to head on the road and in the rally, but from the most people that are watching this, you'd consider the Evo and the Subaru, like, you know, the Mäkinen Evo and the 22B going head to head.
Yeah.
Where does this compare to that? I mean, like, you know, the Subaru's north of 200 grand. Are these in the same sort of price bracket?
I had the Tommy Mäkinen in red, which, you know, I really enjoyed, and I thought they were going to go up in value because of the 22B, so I paid 38k.
Right.
First week of lockdown, I sold the car for 40. Which was not a good decision now, but at the time I thought I'd made money on the car and it wasn't that great to drive. I didn't enjoy it as much. And then I realised in the Tommy Mäkinen there was a lot more made than I thought, over 4,000.
Right, okay.
But I didn't realise that in the reds as well there was some differences. So my car was a special colour package car, which I didn't know was 212, and they're the ones that have gone 150s, 200s. Now.
Right, okay.
So that's probably where on that car I'd be sitting at 150 now if I still had it.
Right.
But it does vary a lot on mileage. But then the RS, only 212 of these, right and left hand drive, and these were built for Tommy Mäkinen's Group A car. So they would literally take this car and make it into a Group A car, or you would go rallying in it. This would be the car you would have. And when you pick these up, you were saying to me earlier on, you pick these up, they're not ready to go. You almost have to spec them yourself. So this could actually be like a one-off. Yeah, so I think there's only 2 with this interior. Right. So you had to spec the interior. They come with like Nissan micro seats, steel wheels, 4-pot silly brakes, because you would turn it into a rally car. Right. So you had the option of these wheels, Brembo brakes, interior, air conditioning. This hasn't got air conditioning. Right. So they strip it right back. No yaw control like the 6. You've just got a limited slip diff, no ABS. Right. So you're 110 kilos lighter than the standard Tommy Mäkinen. Right, and that's the main difference, and that's where the performance comes from. That's right. And then you would put a performance exhaust, suspension you'd change. This has got Öhlins, and then you're ready to go. It's mad though, isn't it, that like these JDMs have got to this sort of price bracket, but it's our era that seem to be buying them, because when you look at them you've got that nostalgia feeling, and you remember when they started coming on, like they almost make you feel like you did when you was a kid. But it's like looking at this car now and thinking that it could also be the same price as like a 430 Scuderia is mad. But we was talking about it earlier on. You go on to Auto Trader and there's 15 of the Ferraris, and you really have to look hard if you want to buy one of these, and you have to go global sometimes. Yeah, well, UK, you're looking at probably a handful of these cars. Yeah. So you're probably 5 or 6 of them. There's a few low mileage ones, but which I looked at, but they had the micro seats and all that in, and it just put me off. This one was like perfect spec, what I wanted. A few miles on it, 58,000, but I wanted to drive it. Yep. And we'll see today how good they are. But for me, I think this is the one that's a little bit of a sleeper. Like, not many people know there's a Tommy Mackinnon RS. Everyone's focusing on the red with the stickers. They're going to keep going and going, and then this will pick up, because they made the Tommy Mackinnon silver, black, red and white. Silver and black seems to be the lowest, so you could get into them for sort of 40k. Right. But if it's red, you're 50% plus more.
Really? I'll tell you what struck me when I saw it this morning was white on white for both cars, which for me is just almost wrong, but it really works.
Really works.
And particularly with the Evo, because it's such an aggressive looking car. I always think that with white cars you sort of lose a lot of the lines and sort of the humps and the bumps, but because it's such an aggressive car, you almost don't need the stickers to make it look that sort of rally, racy spec, because you've got the huge arches, you've got the flared wings, it just looks mega.
Well, the Toyota's really from the Sega era. So if you look at 1994, this is Sega, this is Gran Turismo. So you're going in that sort of route, 94, Toyota, Castrol colours, that's what everyone wanted in the white. So that has got a huge following, but they're not that expensive. JM kindly lent us this today. He paid £8,000. But he spent 20k on it to get it to this condition now. That's because he loves cars like ours, and that's his passion, that's his joy, and it's another one.
It's his little baby. Toyota. Yeah, it's his little project. Yes.
But you can get these from sort of 12k up to 20. Maybe a bit more if you've done all the stuff he's done. So should we have a look at the engine on this? I really want to show you the Mitsubishi engine.
Let's do it. I'll open it up.
So Dean, Mitsubishi. 2 litre, 4-cylinder turbo, single turbo, 320 horsepower, about 300 foot of torque. These are these dampers I was talking about, so Öhlins. So most of them went with Öhlins here, strut brace across. Very, very clean, isn't it, this one?
What's the power delivery like? Is it like the 22B, like nice and smooth? And
well, I've only driven it.
I say smooth. I've only driven it twice. No big dumping of the turbo.
No, it's very sharp but quick. But I've only driven it twice in the rain. Oh, so really? This is my first sort of
perfect conditions today.
Go out. It was nice and dry. But yeah, it's a really nice engine, mate. I feel the engine's quite high up here, isn't it? But maybe that's for rallying. And
I've got no comparison, if I'm honest.
Well, I think a lot of the modern cars now, you don't see the engine. No. So if you look at a McLaren now, you don't see it. It's sat that low, so these are very high up. But yeah, that's the power on this. Should we move over to the Toyota?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Toyota, again, same 2 litre, 4-cylinder turbo. These come in at about 250.
Right.
They always quoted 280 on these when they had the sort of the rules, but they're always a bit more, and I know that has been dynoed at 320.
Okay.
This is about 250, has got sports exhaust, different suspension. I think this got maybe an aftermarket strut brace there, not sure if that's standard. I do like the look of the Mitsubishi engine, whereas this is more, I'll say conventional, isn't it? Yeah. That looks like, wow. But again, this one I think may be a bit more turbo laggy.
Is it?
So compared to that, so you might find that, yeah. So I think when we get in that, we'll see that. But again, that's the era, 2 litre, wasn't it, 4-cylinder? But that's what cars are, all the hybrids now, 2 litre, 4-cylinder.
If it worked, it worked, mate, and it did.
So we should go for a drive.
Well, let's stick these down, and let's get in the warm, and let's put our foot down.
Okay. Right, so 250 horsepower, little dump valve. Let's see how it feels down here.
It does. I love it when the dump valve kicks in.
I do like that little chirping.
It reminds me of when I was a kid. Everyone was sticking them on their turbo cars.
It doesn't go again like some of the other cars. I feel like it's got power, then it just levels off.
Right. It's comfortable though, isn't it? It's like a nice smooth ride.
Yeah, I think he's got the suspension about right. I wondered whether the springs were a little bit too low, which made it feel a little bit stiff on the bumpier roads.
Right.
These type of roads, it feels really good.
No, it's nice. One thing I will say is I expected a bit more noise.
Yeah, I'm not getting any vibration through this car. Like I feel, like the Mitsubishi, the Murcielagos, they make you feel like you're in something that's alive.
Yeah.
This feels more, let's say, diluted down. It's like it's comfortable.
It feels more like a road car.
Yeah, it feels more like the Cosworth.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is that era. Yeah. So there's 6, 7. It just feels a nice speed. I like the little noise.
Yeah.
Gearbox is good. I mean, this has done 200,000 kilometres.
Really?
So and it's still running quite nicely, but I feel like it just, you know, like you spoke about Subarus where you said you get a rush, don't you?
It strikes me like that, where you have to build those revs and then it starts to, like now, you can feel it kicking in almost. Whereas I remember when the 22B, you said to me, the 22B delivers power right the way through its range.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel like that. It feels like you have to build, and then it kicks you up the backside.
And I'll rev that 22B all the way out.
Yeah.
You know, it's 7,900.
Still got some grunt to it though. Like, it ain't a slow car, is it? And you know what I do like sitting from the inside, whether it be, you know, passenger seat on this particular occasion, is, you know, it's got a very distinctive front. And you can see it from the inside. Like I think a lot of cars, you get into the inside, and
you
it's
see
about
that bulge there.
Yeah,
you're in the little.
When you're in the car, it's about the interior and the performance. But like sitting here right now, I can see the big bulbous nose on that bonnet. So it's actually, you can kind of enjoy the exterior whilst you're inside. It's quite cool.
It's actually not that noisy. A bit of wind noise which you get from these cars. You can hear it there. So I think you could drive quite a long way in this.
It's comfortable.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's much more like the Cosy.
Yeah.
Than.
Well, you know, I use the Cosy a lot.
Than the Subaru. You know? Yeah.
I can sort of feel driving it why these are not going to reach the value.
Yeah, it feels like
it feels great, but I just feel like the Subaru and the Mitsubishi, when I smile when I accelerate. Yes, I think, oh, that's nice. It's nice. There's nothing wrong or anything, but it's not giving me the fizz.
It's not a white knuckle ride.
No.
It has been diluted for the road. You can feel that, but it's still got plenty of speed when you want it.
Yeah.
And it's a
nice speed for the road.
And I am actually really comfortable in these seats. The suspension feels nice. I mean, there weren't a lot of roll when you went around that.
No, the suspension is set up very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, when we were coming here in this, there's a few little roundabouts, and I thought, this is a sorted car.
Yeah.
You actually just flow with the road more rather than it being too fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're just carrying speed everywhere.
Does it feel heavy? Because right up there, it felt like the nose was pointing exactly where you wanted it.
I feel like I'm sitting back in the car, almost like an Aston.
You look quite low.
Yeah, almost like an Aston.
Yeah.
Whereas there seems to be a lot there, and I feel like I'm in the middle of the car.
Yes.
Whereas normally, the Japanese cars I've got feel like I'm more up and more pointy, like I'm on the front end of the car. Whereas this, I feel I'm more in the middle, which I probably am, because this was obviously a much bigger car, wasn't it?
Right.
Just go around this roundabout.
Yes, right now we don't feel like we're.
There's so much grip there.
Yeah, there is.
So much grip, you know. And it just feels planted is probably the word, isn't it? And the gearbox is good. So I think we'll head back and get the Mitsubishi. I think it's good. I know you've been out just on the bits up there, because for today, you know, with insurance and that, and it's JM's car, we're just going to do the Mitsubishi with you, but you drove it round there. But what's your sort of feel initially? I know, like you said, it feels more cozy, more like the Escort.
I'm very surprised with how planted it feels when we was going around the roundabouts and these country lanes with you behind the steering wheel. It's difficult when I'm not there, but I can still feel that there's not a lot of boatiness. It feels very planted. I feel certainly very safe.
But he spent 20,000 on this.
Yeah.
If this was a standard one, I don't think it'd be like that. I think he's done a great job.
Yeah, he has. You know? He has, in fairness. But it does feel a little bit more diluted in relation to what I've experienced in the 22B and the Evo. Yeah. Those two cars feel like much more racy cars for the road, as opposed to a road car based on a racy car. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and this isn't a limited edition model of the Celica.
Right.
So if you look at the GT4, they made a Carlos Sainz version.
What's the weight of this car? Is it quite heavy?
Yeah, it's probably about 1,500.
Right, okay.
So you're looking about 1,360. So it probably is a bit heavier, but they didn't make a special edition.
Right.
Because obviously of what went on. Because obviously they would have thought they would have won the World Championship.
Yeah.
And this would have been the Kankanen edition. But obviously to then be the cheating Toyota,
yeah,
they then didn't have. So this is like driving an Evo 6.
Yeah. Or
in
Ben
real
Johnson.
terms. Yeah.
Or Ben Johnson in athletics terms.
But you haven't got that special edition, so this is almost, feels like a special edition because Jay has done suspension work, brakes.
Yeah.
Well, you know how tight that was there. I think
no,
if
that
it was in a
very,
standard car, we'd have a bit of this.
That was really impressive. Yeah, that was.
And the nice thing with this car is I don't feel like I'm going to get myself in any problems.
No, well, the nice thing for me is I don't feel like you're going to get me in any problems. And
yeah, because you're not the best passenger, are you?
No, I hate being a passenger.
Right, let's head back and let's get in that Mitsubishi.
Brown flag. Brown flag. Instantly, you can feel the difference in like low down torque, just out and out aggressive speed right from the get go. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the first time I got in it, I thought it was going to be rock hard, and it isn't. And it's almost like the Toyota. It just rides the roads really nicely. It's comfortable. The seats work.
More up on its toes, which is what I was saying in the Toyota. I felt right down this. I feel like okay.
I feel like as a passenger, I'm just much more aware of my surroundings because I'm just in a slightly better, slightly higher position. Much more space in the cockpit.
Visibility.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
The rumble of the exhaust as well feels like it's in my guts.
Well, it does give you that feeling, that sort of tingling, doesn't it?
It doesn't sound like it's just at the back. It feels
like it's here.
It's here. Yeah, it's all round.
Right in the middle of the car.
But it feels like a serious automobile. Like it doesn't feel like you have to wring its neck to get some fun and excitement out of it. It feels like it's
good at low speed.
Yes. Yeah.
And every gear wants to go, doesn't it?
My stomach just hit the back seat. Yeah.
So
yeah, it
come
does.
up here, do a bit of driving, and then, because I've driven this before, not in the dry, and then you can have a go. You can tell me what you think.
Yeah.
The first impressions are, I feel it's a lot more direct than the 22B.
Yeah.
The steering's more urgent. The steering's just immediate. The brakes feel good, even though I know there's no ABS. It just feels in control. It does go off a bit on the turbo, but it's just that urgency.
Yeah.
It's very urgent. It's like, oh, bang.
Right there instantly. It's like it knows what you're thinking. You think it might accelerate, it's gone.
It's funny, both 5-speed gearboxes keep wanting to go for 6. Again, you could go a long way, but there's a lot of noise in here. But I think you can feel the lightness.
It's a great sound though, isn't it?
I know, but it's like it's resonating round.
Yeah. It's not
on a long motorway journey.
It's not like the classic Subaru sound where you hear the exhaust, you hear the engine, you hear a car go past, you go, that's instantly that's an Impreza, that's a Subaru. But this somehow just feels like it's deeper inside.
Yeah.
It's it does feel very racy. Just sitting here.
It's obviously 110 kilos lighter, so you've hardly got anything in this car.
Yeah.
Really. You take the mat up and the mat's like that thin, and it's just right, there's the car. I say I didn't enjoy the Tommy Mackinnon standard car nowhere near as much as this.
In what way? Try to give me a difference between the RS and this, because
I think it didn't have much sound because it probably didn't have a sports exhaust like this.
Right.
But when I drove it, it didn't feel like it had much punch. And that may be a problem with the car, I'm not sure. It didn't feel. When you come out that 22B, you had that noise.
Yes.
So maybe it needed that exhaust. The suspension didn't feel like this. It felt, well, the steering felt okay, but it didn't feel as in control.
A lovely pop in the back there, mate.
Obviously, this is on Ohlins as well. The
Right.
TME was on the standard suspension, so that would be, say, 22 years old.
Yeah.
So probably if I went back, maybe I would change the suspension to this, because this is about £1,800 suspension.
Yeah.
So it's not a big one. This just feels like there's no play. Like when you hit So I was a bit underwhelmed, but maybe because it was a standard car.
And I suppose getting in something like that for the very first time, you have them high expectations. If it doesn't live up to, but you know they say never meet your heroes.
Yeah.
Well, if that's one of the cars that you want to own, you want to drive, and it doesn't quite live up to it, then it's always going to be a disappointment.
Well, back in time, obviously I bought the P1, but I test drove the Euro 6 before.
Right.
And I went with the P1, and I think a lot of it was just noise.
Yeah.
But today, I feel like this sounds really good.
Yeah, this sounds.
This RS, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It sounds pretty mega.
Well, you said earlier on that this would be a great weekend car. You could go and drive it, and I remember. No, I said to you, didn't I? I was like, I don't know, mate. Maybe an hour or two. That's about it.
Because stuff like this is there's only so much adrenaline
Well,
you can handle, isn't there?
it eggs you on.
Exactly.
It eggs you on. But the difference between this and what I would say the Toyota is, this feels a lot more exciting at low speeds. You know, like
it's just the vibration.
Yeah.
It's making you feel like, oh, I mean, it's alive. It's a real thing.
It's twitchy.
Yeah, it's a real thing. It's going somewhere. Whereas the Toyota's a road car. But maybe if Toyota had made a rally special of that, they would have took 100 kilos out of it.
Yeah.
Made it like that. But I mean, it's just any in here, you know, cool. And I like the sound. You're off. So I wasn't the biggest Mitsubishi fan because I was Subaru, but now I feel like it's better to drive than a 22B.
Well, this would be my question. It'd be, well, not question, statement. It'd be very interesting sticking the two together.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I drove the 22B a year ago, and I remember it being exhilarating. I remember everything about it, and having the Subaru sort of history in my background. I was, you know, took me back to my childhood, gave me that nostalgia feeling. But I can't think that it was as good as this at the moment. No. So it's difficult to compare when you're a year apart. But I think it'd be a very interesting comparison with putting two and two, both of them together.
There's not many cars that I get in and I'm starting to feel like, I'm not saying I'm uneasy, but I feel okay, like with the Murcielago, that gives me the stomach, where your stomach feels a bit okay, like butterflies. That's what I'm feeling in this. There's not many cars that can do that. This is one, because the vibration, because the feeling. I'm in control of everything here, but I'm also aware I've got no systems to help me.
Yeah.
This is just me. There's no ABS, like even braking and that. I am thinking I might have to pump the brake.
I felt exactly the same when we got in the Murcielago.
Yeah.
I felt exactly the same, and it's that V12 sat right on your shoulder, and a lot of it is the noise that makes you feel more uncomfortable than you normally would be doing at them speeds. But yes, it's raw, it's visceral, isn't it?
Yeah. And like you say, this is a car that you, as I say, if you collected it, like what I've done here, buy one with some higher miles, because the lower mileage ones aren't getting used.
Right.
They're just in air-conditioned garages, or, you know, nice. They're not going to use them. Whereas at this sort of mileage, 58k, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's gonna go up in value anyway, but I can drive it. I can take it to a car show. I can enjoy it, you know. But even
that's bad.
It just gives you that great feeling. It just wants to go. Okay, but let's head up here. Chain drive.
Yeah, please. Feeling a bit queasy. It's a mixture of elation, happiness, joy, and when you're in the passenger seat.
I know, yeah.
Isn't it?
It makes me feel a little bit. But also, I've got you in the passenger seat as well when you're on your own.
The other thing as well is, right, this is half the price of the 22B. Less than half the price of a third of the price of the 22B.
It's not a third of the car.
No, hell no. No, hell no.
What I'll do is I'll get you to drive down there and do the roundabouts over the bits, come back, and I'll keep you on a little bit of these roads rather than something too twisty.
Yeah. I think, well, I don't mind. I think I remember the 22B having a little bit more at the top end. Like it didn't run out as much. Yeah, it didn't run out of.
Whereas the 22B.
You run out of road in the 22B. You don't run out of grunt. Tell you what, mate, why don't you stick me on the side of a road on the corner? Oh, no. That's right.
Quite short clutch, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it though.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's hard when you first get in to pick it up. It's a very easy car to drive.
It feels like you just get in it and go.
Well,
No mucking around, don't need to warm up too much.
No, it is very easy. But then I remember the 22 being kind of like that as well, you know. But one thing I remember in the 22B as well is that when you put your foot down, the front went really light, and that's what was scary about it. And I didn't feel like, as much as you still had control.
You feel a little bit uneasy.
Yeah. But this doesn't have anywhere near as much of that, which makes me feel like there's a bit more control, and I've got much more like feel through the steering when you're accelerating. Super responsive, like it's so glued to the road.
Well, the guys up in the car, C10, one of the best Mitsubishi people. They originally imported the cars,
right?
Back in the day, and they know this. And this has been, I wouldn't say tuned, but it's got everything this would need. That's a bespoke exhaust they made.
Right.
It's got the little chip to 320, but they were 300 anyway. And then the O-Lins has been set up for fast road.
Right.
Got good Michelin tyres, pads are standard, but it's just set up very, very nicely.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm literally pulled up behind this Porsche at the moment, but the one thing I did notice that the first thing I did was put my right foot on the brake, and it felt quite stiff, and I thought, well, that could be a bit like sort of catchy, but it's not.
Squeaky, isn't it?
You got a little. You're gonna have the odd squeak here and there on a 20-year-old car, but the brakes aren't grabby; they're quite smooth. The clutch is a tiny little bit stiff, but the bite point's perfect for me. It just suits my left leg absolutely banging.
So it's interesting, you said about 20 years now values. Let's talk a bit about American market. So this is where the 25-year rule in America, at the moment this would have to be a show and display car.
Right.
So you have to go through a lot of documentation, get the car over. You can only use it to service the car and display the car. And you can only do 2,500 kilometres. Which is fine. So in America there's not many 22s, there's only 4 or 5.
Right.
There's hardly any over there.
Okay.
So we know that 2025, this car, that's what's going to happen, and that's going to be the same as, you know, all these JDM.
I mean, will these get to the same value? I mean, I know it's a guess. How long's a piece of string? Will these get to the same value as a 22B is now? Because if this goes up, the 22B is obviously going to skyrocket from where it is now.
This has got the following: the Subaru, Colin McRae. I think the Mitsubishi was good, but I think Mackinnon, absolutely amazing driver, but he's not like Colin McRae Rally, the game.
Yeah.
Even though Colin was a one-time world champion, you know, Mackinnon didn't make many mistakes, didn't have the crashes, didn't have the... So I don't think it'll go to that level, and I think that's what I stand behind. And also, right, the 22B, I mean, a bit like this, it's very rare you have a car that looks like, and can be like the rally car.
Yeah.
You know, this was the, you know, same, probably more power than the rally car. They were 300 horsepower. It looks the same. It is the same body kit. You put the stickers on it, it looks the same. With the WRC cars, you couldn't do that. Subaru had to hand make all panels. Couldn't put it through the spray booth. All hand painted.
Yeah.
Only 400. But then it's only 212 of these.
Yeah, this is mad.
It's the same if you had a... where do you want to go up? Go a bit further?
Oh, go up.
A bit further, yeah. Go
It's a roundabout.
The 22B was so special because of the WRC era. So
yeah.
97 they went to WRC. This was still Group A. So what you were buying in the showroom was relative to what they were driving from a visual point of view. The only problem with this is obviously it looks the same as the Evo 6. real terms, I would notice a difference, but the normal person probably.
Yeah.
But when you see a 22B, you know it's not just a normal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a standout. But what I will say though is this is far from a half. Oh, that's it.
Certainly feels lively, doesn't it?
It does. There's so much power, so much speed, so much grunt down low. The one thing I will say that I remember the 22B, it never really runs out, whereas this, you soon realise it delivers the power and you gain so much speed so quickly that, you know, it sort of does run out of guts a little bit at the top end.
So you're probably about 6.8 on the revs,
right,
whereas the Subaru is 7.9. So you have got another 1,000 in the rev range on the 22B. And the Subaru's the P1, to be fair, the same. Just the 2.2 in the 22B gave you more low down.
On actual driving ability, performance, sound, noise, the way they look, I've got a lot of room in here, I'm comfortable, the steering's great. I would actually say I like the steering better on this than the 22B, because when you do plant your foot, I feel like there's a lot more feel and I feel a lot safer, even though it has got that, it's going to bring your neck.
It's always known for the steering. But so Evo 6, same with the P1, you have that off-centre feel with a Subaru.
This is not a third of the car for a third of the price. This is a lot better value in my mind.
Good 22Bs are going to be 750,000 to £1 million. Telling you, right? So this at whatever 50 to 70k, this will go up because people will have to keep looking down. If you look at the GTR market, you're seeing a GTR sell for $1.9 million.
That's a fantastic car. That is a fantastic car, man. That is
nice being in the passengers.
That's incredible. Brilliant. I love the
behind you.
No.
Slow it down. Slow it right down. Go under 40, go in second, and then go all the way through, so you get that back. The exhaust. I know, when I found that up there, you went actually through 7.3.
Yeah, we get there so quick. That's why. That's sort of why. You know, I said it runs out. It doesn't run out of guts. It pulls all the way up to max revs, but it gets there so fast.
That's what I've been doing. I love that.
That's ridiculous.
Bang, bang, bang.
Be a very interesting comparison between this and the 22B to put them against each other and then actually come up with a value for money decision, because obviously as an investment 22B, you know, whether it's the same sort of investment nowadays as they've skyrocketed, but on out and out performance, this is an incredible car, mate. It really is. And like I said, the steering makes me feel so much more comfortable in it than the 22B, you know.
When this comes out,
and it feels, mate,
it'll be interesting to see what they think. It's obviously it's Chris Harris drove it last, and now
he warmed it up for me. Yeah. He done well. Thank you, Chris.
He did run in all the tyres and brakes because they were. Right, let's head back to Bewl and we'll get a conclusion.
Good motor, mate.
Right, so we're back. Let's just start with the Toyota. What do you think? Come on.
I felt like it felt a little bit heavy and lacking in a little bit of power in comparison to what we're sort of comparing it against, but it's a very cool car. Not quite as exciting as I was hoping, not quite as noisy as I was hoping, but the handling was a bit of a surprise, to be fair. Like when I was in the passenger seat,
wasn't it?
Oh, super, mate. It was a really well, I mean, it just went round in roundabouts like it was a go-kart. So in that respect, you can definitely tell what JM's done to this. So I think he's done an awful lot of good stuff.
I think we said though, obviously they didn't make a limited edition of that car.
It's not supposed to be a limited edition, lightweight, road legal sort of rally car, is it? Yeah. It is an actual road car. Yeah. So, and it felt like that. But when you got it going, it felt like you had to wring its neck to actually make it exciting.
So if I go back to Jay, I think it needs 50 horsepower, a little bit more noise. Suspension felt good.
Oh, suspension was excellent.
So
the ride was
right,
the actual ride and the balance of the car was epic. I just felt it lacked a little bit of grunt. That's all.
Mitsubishi.
But then that's because we were comparing it against this, and this had more grunt than you'd ever need on a road. Throttle response was incredible. I mean, I said at the time when I was driving, it felt like it topped out, but I don't think it did. On reflection, I felt like it just got there so quickly.
Yeah.
Super steering, great feel. The balance of the car was excellent. I felt like it was going to ring. I felt like it was kind of dangerous the very first time I got into it, but the more I got into it, I felt safer. Certainly safer than I did in the 22B a year ago.
Okay. Because of that lightness.
Because the lightness is a bit disconcerting. I didn't get that in this. I loved the noise. I was comfortable for a big guy. There was enough room in there.
You like white as well, didn't you?
I like it in white. I do. I think a lot of cars in white, they get sort of bleached out in pictures and stuff, but this has got enough lumps and bumps and, you know, bits and bobs on it that...
I loved it when you went through the rev range and the noise. But that was the one thing Mitsubishi's lacked, didn't they? But this today sounded fantastic, didn't it?
I've got to say, I feel like the comparison, I mean, they're two very good cars, very cool cars, and they've got similar histories with regard to rally, but I feel like they're very different cars right now.
Yeah.
And I feel like this would match up against the 22B much better as a fairer fight.
Yeah.
But I've got to say, I don't think this, I mean, you were saying this is like a third of the price, even less than that.
Yeah, than a 22B.
And this is nowhere near a third of the car. Whether it's better or not, I don't know, because I'm split, because I do love a Subaru.
So if you were paying
sort
of, I don't know, 12, 14K for these, up to 20, that's still quite a good buy, isn't it?
Oh, that's a great buy. Yeah. That is a very good buy. But we are comparing the two, and this has just got so much.
Yeah.
You know, it's got so much in the tank.
So we spoke about JDMs in general. So I've got 22B. I know we got this GT4 here. We got the Mitsubishi.
Evo. Where else do you go? That's the top of the tree?
Well, this is probably the king of king for rally specials, but there are other JDMs that are, again, a bit higher.
Really? Like what?
Can you hear something?
Yes, sounds like thunder. Richard, you haven't?
I have, but it's for another video. Come on, we've got to go to Eva.
Damn.